we don't realize that the power that we have with our breath. And I know some people say, oh, just take Xanax or take a pill. I'm talking about doing things naturally without medications, without having to go to the doctor. What are techniques and tools that I can use that can help me right here in this moment? I'm Kristy Austin. Make sure you like, subscribe, and comment to Lux Media Studios. Welcome to Whole-ly Chit. I am your host, Kristy Austin, here to remind you that you are whole. And chit, a Sanskrit word for pure consciousness, the reason I started this podcast. So today it's just going to be me. We had a guest that was supposed to come on who just messaged me saying that she was sick all night. So we're going to have to reschedule her. And instead, you just get me today. So what are we going to talk about? One of my favorite topics, and one thing that I teach: breathing. Breathing. How important is breathing? Breath is our first gift that we're ever given. As soon as we come out of the womb, what does the doctor do? Tries to get us to take that first breath, smacks us, tries to get us to breathe, to cry. Even if it's crying, that's good. To hear the cry of a baby is like, it makes you cry. It makes you open yourself up to a whole new world. So breath is so, so powerful. And it's the one thing that is the most underrated. We think breathing comes naturally. I don't have to breathe. I don't have to consciously breathe or be aware of something that comes naturally. But the truth is, we do. Breathing has the power to change our auric field, to change our mindset, to calm us. There's different ways that we breathe. And what we don't realize is through the years with stress and everything else, we tend to breathe up here, right? You ask somebody to take a deep breath. What's the first thing you see? You see the chest go. That is shallow breathing. That's all in the chest. The first thing we learn in yoga is belly breathing. It is breathing through your diaphragm. And this has so many benefits. But the first thing we learn is that diaphragm breathing, you should be breathing through the stomach first. You should first see your abdomen. Let's see if you can see. You should first see your abdomen expand. Let's see if I can stand up here. So you should first see the abdomen. This is the area that you should see expand first rather than the chest. That's shallow breathing, shallow living. Do you want to live a shallow life or a deep life? If you want to live deeply, you have to learn to breathe through your abdomen. So breathing through the chest is actually, we call it chest breathing or thoracic breathing. That actually causes anxiety. It causes a lot of issues in our body. What is called diaphragmatic breathing is breathing through the abdomen. It is known to lower blood pressure, stress levels, increase your blood oxygen level, improves concentration, strengthens your immune system. It reduces your stress hormone, the cortisol levels. It is so powerful, that belly breathing. So I thought I'd share a little story about how the breathing expert could not breathe. Because this is something that we need to practice every day so that we know this technique. And when we need it the most, we can take that tool out of our tool belt and realize that, I can use this. Um, I can use this tool. And so if we're not practicing it every day, we don't know this tool. So a few years ago, high stress, and sometimes, it hits us all. Well, something will hit us, and then all of a sudden we have the stress in our life, right? I've gone 40 years of my life at this point without ever having a panic anxiety attack. And then one day it happened. I have a whole new compassion for people who have regular anxiety and panic attacks because I experienced it for the first time. And I needed to experience this because in my class, some people are talking about it and I don't understand. Like I've never experienced that. And when it happens to you, you realize, wow, this is intense. And when you know these techniques, you know the things that you can do for the stress and anxiety. So it hits me one day. It just hits me like a brick, the stress. And all of a sudden, my chest starts going. And I'm going, what's wrong with me? Why can't I control my breathing? I'm like, breathe, Kristy, breathe. And I'm getting mad at myself in my head. Breathe. Why can't you breathe? You're a breathing expert. Breathe. And I'm going, I am breathing. And in that moment, when you're in panic, and you can't control your breath and you feel like you're going to faint and you're all that is happening, all of a sudden you realize that everything goes out the window. And I had to consciously tell myself, okay, how am I breathing? I had to observe myself, and I observed it was all in the chest. And I had to tell myself, belly breathe. And still, so I had to slowly, because I'm still breathing in the chest, and it took a while to regulate. And I'm breathing through the belly now. And so I get a breath in the belly, and this took a while. This took me a while, but I had to slowly regulate my breath from being up here in the chest to here in the diaphragm. And I noticed once I regulated that from the chest to the diaphragm, all of a sudden I calmed down. I calm down, I can breathe, I can feel myself regulate. And I was so grateful that I had these techniques of going through hundreds of hours of yoga teacher trainings where I knew what to observe and what to look for when I think most people can't see that, because in that moment you're in panic and you can't bring yourself to a place of what do I need unless someone's there in your ear. I was by myself. I had no one in my ear to calm me and to help me. I had to rely on my own techniques. And I realized that this stuff works. It really works. I teach about it every day. But when you're in one of those situations, panic situations, and you can self observe and say, what do I need? What am I doing? Am I doing that I know I could do better? Well, at this moment, I'm breathing in my chest only. I know I can bring that breath to my core, to the diaphragm, and breathe through there. And let's just see what happens. Very simply, that simple adjustment was able to calm me.
Believing Before Seeing, a new bestseller by Candace Barr. Order your copy today.
So we don't realize that the power that we have with our breath. And I know some people say, oh, just take Xanax or take a pill. I'm talking about doing things naturally without medications, without having to go to the doctor. What are techniques and tools that I can use that can help me right here in this moment? Because I don't believe in medication. I don't. I used to when I was younger, and I felt like there was medications for a reason. Now I don't. I feel like the side effects of all those medications are not worth the symptom that they're treating. So I try to teach and utilize myself the most natural techniques you possibly can. and breathing. Breathing is one. It's the first thing we do when we're born was we take that deep breath. It's the You'll notice when you're stressed and when you have anxiety, you take short breaths in your chest. It helps with heart issues when you learn how to breathe through your abdomen rather than your chest. Think about when you're sick and you can't really breathe, right? I always try to take a deep breath when I'm sick. A lot of people that that get sick, they get that congestion in their chest and they try to take a deep breath and they start coughing, right? Well, that's your oxygenating your lungs. You need to bring that oxygen into the diaphragm to disperse throughout your body so that you can heal yourself. It's oxygen, right? The disease can't live with oxygen, or oxygen disease cannot live in oxygen. So you oxygenate your body through breath. You bring that oxygen in through your diaphragm, dispense, am I saying that right? Throughout your entire body when you're sick. So I try to take deep breaths. Unlike a lot of people, they just, I can't breathe. I can't breathe. No, take that deep breath as much as you possibly can. Try to force your lungs to expand. That's a good thing. Expanding your lungs is a good thing. So, let's see, what was another point I wanted to make? I think I wanted to tell another story that I can't think of right now, but just the power of breathing. And you can start with the very simple breathing. Even if you're not thinking about the abdomen or the chest, think about taking a slow breath. 444. Just think of that. 444. 444 is my lucky number. I see 444 everywhere. It's my angel number. Think about that. 444. Four breaths in. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold for 4 breaths. 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale for 4 breaths. 1, 2, 3, 4. Do that for a few minutes. See what it does to you. And I advise everyone, don't take my word for it. You do it and see how you feel. Everything is experimental, right? Everything you won't know until you try. I know these things work because I try. I do them myself. When I was in the middle of the panic attack, regulating my breath, and I saw the power of breath. I know it works. I'm not telling you that it works. I want you to try it and see what happens. Does it work? Does it work for you? You'll only know if you try it yourself, if you practice. There's a lot of things that we can do, different dristis. I like to add dristis, which is eye gaze, and mudras, which is different hand postures with my breath. But without that, all you need is your breath. 1, 2, 3, 4. Inhale through the abdomen. Try to think about that if you can. Hold for 4 breaths. Exhale or for 4 seconds. Exhale for 4 seconds, 4 counts. Do that on the regular. Inhale, count of 4. Hold, count of 4. Exhale, count of 4. See how you feel. Very simple breath. And you can do it anywhere. You can do it at your desk, at your office. You can do it while you're in the car, anywhere, and see how that regulates your breath. So it's so funny. I've always felt that breath is so powerful. And I realized that subconsciously, I was controlling my moods through my breaths, even as a child. Um, I realized that my ex-husband would say, "What's wrong?" I'd be like, What do you mean, what's wrong?" He would say, "You're taking deep breaths, deep sighs." And I didn't notice I was doing that. And I realized that anytime I would feel a little stressed or I would get a little agitated, I would go, and anytime he'd hear that, he'd go, "What's wrong?" I know something's wrong because you're taking a deep breath. I wasn't intentionally doing that. I wasn't even consciously aware that I was doing that. But what I knew is that whenever I would take that deep breath, I wouldn't yell at my kids. My kids were bothering me and there's something that I wanted to yell at them from. I never did. I would just take a deep breath. Naturally, subconsciously, my body knew what to do to self regulate and get me balanced. My daughter in love is what I call her. The mother of my granddaughter is teaching my granddaughter breathing techniques. And I love it. So she's only 2 years old and she comes to me and she starts getting frustrated. And her mom says, Jadeite, breathe. And she sits there through her nose. And then she stops and then she starts doing what she was doing. And all of a sudden she completes her task without fail. And I looked at her and I was like, wow, you are teaching her that at 2. This is amazing. She's not my child to tell her how to, raise her kid, what she's going to do. But the fact that she chose on her own, I'm going to teach her some techniques that her grandma teaches and that her grandma utilizes. I was so proud. If we can teach our children this, we will live in a whole new world in the future. That's how powerful breathing is. I truly believe in the power of breathing. Another story, because I love telling stories. My youngest son, who's now he'll be 13 in like 2 months. My youngest son, he was in preschool. I'm teaching my daughter, who's 3 years older there than him, only 6 years old at the time. I'm teaching her how to breathe and do mudras. I'm teaching her um, to take deep breaths and not realizing that my youngest is listening. I don't think he needs it. He's just a baby and he's a happy baby at that. He doesn't need this. He starts going to preschool and he comes home one day and mom, there's a bully. I said, what do you mean there's a bully? Sitting next to a bully, he said this and that, he's being mean. And I said, oh, I'm sorry. What did you do? So I went to the teacher and I asked her if I could go to the bathroom. And then what? She said yes. I went into the hallway and I took deep breaths. Said Satanama, Satanama, Satanama. He showed me what I was teaching his older sister. I was shocked. That was not something that I had taught him. It was something I was teaching his sibling. And I said, wow. And then what? He goes, I felt a lot better. So I went inside the classroom and I asked the teacher if she could move tables, if I could move tables so I didn't have to sit next to that boy. And I was like, okay, very mature for a child in preschool, not even in kindergarten yet, to have that self-aware, that self-awareness of what you need to do to bring yourself back to center. So anyway, that's the power of breath. I could go on. There is literally thousands of breathing techniques. You name an issue and I'll give you a breathing technique for it. There's breathing techniques to cool you down, to heat you up, to calm you down for bed, to wake you up. So know the power of breathing. Know that you have all you need to self-regulate within you. You don't need to be flexible. Everybody, oh, I can't do yoga. I'm not flexible. You don't need to be flexible and you have a lot of space. I can do it right here in the chair. Self-regulate with my breath. You don't need to go to a yoga class. It's great going to yoga class because practice puts it in our subconsciousness that when we have that anxiety or panic attack, you know the tools and techniques that you have to do to regulate. That's why we go to yoga classes to learn these tools and techniques, to practice them on a daily basis so that when you need them the most, they're there for you. But you don't need to go to yoga class to learn this. You can do it at home. You can do it at your office. Anywhere that you are, you have this power within you to heal yourself. So try that breathing technique. Let me know how it works out for you. Let me know. if you learned anything from this, and maybe what you would like me to talk about next time. I hope you have a blessed and beautiful day. Thank you for being on this journey with me. I love you. Mwah. Be sure to tune in next week to Whole-ly Chit.